What is up, maniacs? Welcome back to Sound and Pound. It is January 9th, 2024. It's already 9 days into the new year, Alex. It feels like these 9 days have really come at us fast. But it is Tuesday. As always, you guys, we are finally ready to get into the UFC calendar. The month-long break is over. Getting back to your regularly scheduled MMA programming. Alex, you're not ready to get back into the flow, man? What's going on?
No,
You
dude.
enjoyed it?
I could have used another week off, bro. I thoroughly enjoyed the month off of no USC. But we're back. We're back, and we're back.
Yes, exactly. Ready to rock and roll. Plenty to talk about, even though, we are a little bit in the midway point of getting back into that flow. We got Octagon Updates is in the house, of course. What is up, man? Appreciate you as always. MMA on Point. Good to see one of the biggest MMA YouTube channels on the planet. It's still 2017, right? Man, I fucking wish. I'll tell you that much. I wish it was still 2017. Ooh, unfortunately, it is not. We are rolling into 20. What are you thinking? What you were doing in 2017?
Yeah, I'm
Where
like,
were you,
what the
Alex?
fuck were they doing? I was 27. What the fuck were they doing? I think I was fuck, I can't even remember.
The 2017 was right before I started with bjpen.com, which was kind of like, the biggest that I had gotten to at that point. So it was like, all over the place, scrambled, media working, then found a little bit of stability. Still not the most stable, but
Yeah.
it was a good progression. So, um, yeah, crazy times. And it's Jason. All right, good to see you, man. Appreciate
Oh,
you hanging out with
fucking
us.
Jason, man. He's the man. He's the
He
man.
definitely is, Mr. Hart. Give him a follow and follow MA on Point too, if you have not already on the platforms. So, all right, Alex, as we do have a modified version of our lineup today, we're going to start off with the biggest news of the week, which we cannot talk about. And usually we do our matchup roundup, but I think we're going to leave that segment in 2023 as we've kind of talked about because it's just it's always too much. So we're going to talk about right now the magnificent right things the UFC did in the lightweight division. I can't believe it, man. What was it, 2 days ago? Dana dropped it on Sunday, I think Sunday night. He always likes to
Yep.
do these announcements late at night for some reason, which I find kind of poor timing, maybe. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's always like seems weird to me. I would think you would want to do it in the morning, but he's probably just like, all right, here we go. Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis, UFC 299, 5-round co-main event, and Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300. My goodness, April 13th, the pay-per-view after, of course. Whoo, just give me the reaction to this, man, because I was blown away in the best way possible.
Dude, I mean, I was tripping out because I had said that I had matched up Benoit Saint Denis and Poirier in
Yes.
my fantasy UFC 300 matchup, but I was like, it's a dream matchup. It's never gonna fucking happen. Dustin is never gonna fight BSD. Um, and sure as shit he did. Which
Lo
is
and
like,
behold.
man, and I was tripping. It's like, it's like you got to give him props because he could have easily sat on his spot and just waited for the biggest fight possible, or kind of waited for wait for a rematch with Charles Oliveira. He could just waited because
Yeah.
he's at that point of his career where he's probably not getting another title shot, but he's just kind of just waiting for big fights. And he took one of the most dangerous guys in the division, someone that only hardcore fans really know, and he's fighting him for 5 rounds. Man, I was like, dude,
It's
fucking
all
props,
risk.
dude,
All risk.
props, props. Yeah,
Yeah, it's I was so pleasantly surprised pretty much for all the reasons you said there. Like I mean, you would have to think he's getting a good payday because again, it's all risk. That's the thing about it is the only thing it does for him is gets him back in the win column, right? I mean, aside from delivering an absolute fucking banger for as long as it lasts, which is a guarantee, but like I don't know. It's weird. He always says the thing about getting excited for one, so I guess that means that he knew about Benoit a little bit before the fight was offered to him, or he did a quick research and was like, "All right, this guy impresses him. So that's, mad props given to Benoit Saint Denis. And I think just that
He's
alone
yeah.
shows the respect,
Yeah, no, I mean, he's in the exact same spot Benil Dariush was before fighting Arman Sarukian. He has nothing to gain.
Yes.
Nothing to gain except a new name on his resume and a point to be like, I'm still that guy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing he gets to do is if you beat Benoit Saint Denis is be like, I'm that guy,
Right.
Like I mean, I'm him.
Yeah, because like it doesn't elevate him or anything, just kind of keeps him. It keeps him where he is, which
Yeah.
is a good thing, especially in that division. But at the same time, it's just you're always trying to climb and get back to become a champion and all that stuff. So it's wild. I'm so happy it's happening. I'm so excited for it. Like honestly, I mean, let's talk about Oliveira Saryukin a little bit. Amazing matchup as well, but I think I'm more excited for Poirier and Saint Denis just because it's like I guess I had less faith in them putting a matchup like that together, right?
1,000,
So,
1,000%,
like,
1,000%.
and fingers crossed it still happens.
Yeah.
We still have time, of course. But yeah, Oliveira, Saryukin is fantastic as well. The right thing, we were both saying that, I think everybody kind of got to the point of agreement where after Oliveira, Makhachev 2 fell through, they're like, that's kind of too soon anyway. First fight wasn't very close. Don't want to put Charles so quickly into potentially limbo, right? Where he's got into the Max Holloway position pretty much. So now he gets an incredibly tough matchup, but it makes all the sense on the planet. So this one's great too, Alex. I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was kind of shocked too. I mean, I know that there was whispers about it, so I was like, like maybe it could happen, but I kind of like I didn't know if Charles would take that fight because it's such a fucking tough matchup too. Like,
Yes.
like and it's nice to see that the UFC's behind Arman Sarukian, right? Like they could have just kind of kept giving him, not number one contender fights, but like, guys
Mhm.
right up there to kind of just keep testing him. But they're like, all right, you want a title shot, beat Dubronx, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like we're sending you. So yeah, I mean, and plus like Charles Oliveira on UFC 300, it just makes sense, right? Like it just makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those fights where it's kind of funny. You said something there at the beginning about how like Saryukin's still a very tough matchup, and like in ways similar to Makachev, right? Obviously, I think the grappling would be kind of the thing there, and I mean, I don't think they're that comparable. I mean, we saw how it went when they went against each other, and we haven't really seen Saryukin, try and be that kind of same smothering dominator as Makachev has, and of course Habib's and all that down the line, but. A guy who's definitely clearly capable from what we've seen there. So it's like there's so many little intricacies and wrinkles to how this matchup can go that it's like amazing. My problem though with like both of these announcements here are kind of getting into the things around it. And I don't want to say problem, but I wish this was 5 rounds too, Alex. Like that's my thing is, bro, what's the deal there? And I get it, 300, it's getting stacked up. It could change. Doubt that's going to happen, especially for that card. But like, this deserves 5 rounds too.
I mean, depending on how they round out UFC 300, like, could you imagine Charles Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian on the fucking prelims? Like,
Oh my god, that's a great point. Yeah, like the headliner, no less than that. But
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
we can dream. I'm not going to hold my breath on that with how things are going. But we can dream.
Well, I mean, how fucking stacked UFC 299 is. I mean, bro, they're gonna have to bring some of those fights over to UFC
Yeah,
300 pretty
yeah.
soon.
That's all the speculation. And I kind of compared it too to like I mean it wasn't the case on paper, but looking back to 199 and 200, 199, like once they were over, blew it out of the water. Like 199 for me is the GOAT, like top to bottom event, right? And I think Ryzen 20 can compete if we're going MMA overall, but UFC specifically, I think 199 for me. I know a lot of people say 189, which is also great, but that was mostly main card heavy. Um, but yeah, I'm getting kind of a similar feeling here to this same thing where it's such a tricky kind of puzzle that they have to solve where building up to the big grand event while kind of not completely abandoning the ones beforehand, right? Which I think they balanced that out really well on the path to 200. Like with 198 before that, that was the Brazil one, if I remember correctly, so long ago. 197 was Jones OSP, which was supposed to be Jones Cormier too. Like they balanced that out really well here. They're obviously trying very nicely here, but we're seeing it's maybe a little bit. It's getting a little more heavy for before 300. It's
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
1,000%. I will counter you with UFC 217 is the best card of all time.
That was a great one as well. That was that was a really good one too. Oof, that's definitely up there. Yeah. I'll have to look at the rest of that one, but obviously remember the top of it for sure. Do you have it up? Remind me.
It is GSP versus Bisping,
Yes, of
Dillashaw
course.
versus Garbrandt, Rose versus
Rose versus
Joanna,
Yana.
Wonder Boy versus Masvidal, Costa versus
Right.
Hendricks, Vic
Right.
versus Duffy, Godbeer versus Harris, OSP versus Corey Anderson, Mickey Gall versus Randy Brown, Curtis Blades versus Alexei Olenek, Ragnar Ramos versus Zahabi. I mean,
Oh,
just
the spinning elbow. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, and the feel of that one. You know, when the events just have that feel, which 199 did as well. Remember, that was the day Muhammad Ali died, I believe, as well. So like, and it kicked off with one of the most underrated gems of all time, Stun Gun Kim and Marco Polo Reyes. I'll remind
yeah,
anybody that whenever I
yeah.
get the chance to talk about that fight. So I think those are both appropriate shouts for sure. But here's another wrinkle we got to talk about here, Alex, because with Dana's announcement, left some questions regarding the exact title picture because he put a stamp on Saryukin versus Oliveira and said winner gets the title shot. So then we're like, where's Justin Gaethje? Which is our question of the day on MMA Mania. And he said that Islam is dealing with an injury as well, rather than us assuming he's, doing Ramadan stuff or whatever. I don't know if I believe Dana is kind of where I'm at. But the thing is, right, Matthias is here. Thank you for tuning in. Any ideas where this puts Gaethje if Armand versus Oliveira is a number one contender? Also, Maka injured, or is Dana holding him for October? I fucking hope not. I hope he's not holding him. You can't do that. He doesn't want to do that. There's been the speculation
Yeah.
I've seen people saying to, yeah, like you said, make a swap on 299, maybe push O'Malley, Vera back there. I know Sean is kind of, he's ready to fight. I'm assuming he's not going to want to, but for 300, I'm sure he'll make an exception. People are saying push that one back, put Makachev, Gaethje on 299 instead. Seems like the only possibility to get him before Ramadan, right? But
So they're saying maybe do Makachev versus Gaethje UFC 299 and push Sugar versus to UFC 300.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is a weird spot. I think turns 1 and 2 for Makachev and Gaethje. Like, we got to get that one done. I think in time before he gets skipped over. I don't know. This is weird. What are you
I
making of this
mean,
aspect?
you could do. People are gonna hate this, but do like Makachev versus Gaethje on as the co-main on the Connor Chandler card, International Fight Week.
Wait, who was it? Who'd you say on that one?
Put them as the co-main event on the Connor versus Chandler card.
Oh God!
You know how
If you
fucking mad.
want absolute chaos,
Yeah, right. But other than that, I mean, Brazil is going to be after UFC 300. That's 301. 302 is Connor. So then that kind of puts him in July. So maybe Makhachev fights in July and October.
I think that's the problem, though, right? Is because what Ramadan's like during the summer. As far as I know, I guess I could Google search that real quick. What the exact time period is? I know it's like the middle of the year. When is Ramadan? March 10th. Oh, this is what is this? March 10th to April? That can't be right. That's a very
I'm
short
pretty sure
window.
that's it.
I mean, if that is it, okay, maybe I was just way wrong for some
Yeah.
reason, thinking. Okay, well, in that
Yeah.
case,
I think it ends. It ends a day after UFC 300 or a day before UFC 300.
okay. So, all right, then in that case, then yeah, I think that what you're saying could be right. With that summer time frame, and then that would still, I think, provide potential to come back maybe December, end of the year, which want Makachev, of course, fight twice at least. That would be nice. And I guess timing wise too, that'd be fine. Of course, the winner of this fight would just have to kind of wait a little bit, but I guess that might be best case, without shuffling, which I'm going to assume they don't want to do, right? They don't want to do that at this point, but Yeah, it's tricky. This is the weird season, weird season of the UFC calendar here when they got the big shows like this that they want to all map out and get everything done. But ideally, in a perfect world, I would have loved to see like Makachev Gaethje on 300. You know, anything goes, all that. Then it's like a mini tournament right there. So I guess we will see.
I say he fights Gaethje in July, and then he fights the winner of Oliveira Sarukian on the Abu Dhabi card in October.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. Jason saying Armin versus Olives feels like best case scenario. Absolutely incredible matchup for Islam after. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got some fun options here. He is gonna lightweight, man. If they keep matchmaking like this throughout the year, that's all I can ask for. That is all I can ask for. As Mateus, as his buddy suggested, Makachev will be on the same card as Connor in July, which is what you just said. In a way, makes sense, but I hope they don't wait so long again. I feel like I think that UFC and Dana in particular, again, it comes back to you can get juice out of multiple of these rather than clumping them with Connor, right? Doesn't matter. Connor versus a fly, they're going to sell, you know? So he can be separate, all alone, shittiest card in the world. Could be just his fight. As I said last week, gonna be fine, gonna sell. So separate them. Business wise, no need to put them on the same card. And honestly, I just don't think that Makachev would agree to be underneath a Conor fight, you know, like, with the history between all those guys. I don't know.
I mean, there is a thing where they like the UFC swoops in last minute, and they do get Conor versus for UFC 300, and then they do Makachev for International Fight Week.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do that.
I mean, it's crazy. We are kind of feeling like it does. Obviously, things are close and getting tight, rushed a little bit, but it is still the second week of January. So
Yeah.
they do have some time. Maybe let's pump the brakes a little bit, calm it down. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I love kind of these aspects of the sport for sure. And Rio here says, are you guys just happy that Dustin is finally fighting down in the rankings? I think that's the biggest thing about just all of this is the shifting and letting Armin get in there, you know, because he was kind of on the cusp trying to break in. Then he does with the Benil fight. And then now Benoit, of course, he beats Poirier. One away, Alex. I mean, he's got to fight. He's got to fight loser of Makachev Gaethje or loser of Saryukin. And it's got to be kind of this exact mix of everyone we just mentioned, right? Like where he goes from there, he's got to be one away. Because what that would be, how many in a row? 5, 6?
I think
in UFC.
Yeah, I think it's 5. I think it's 5. So it'd be 6 in a row. 6 in a row.
Okay.
Or it's 4 and then 5. Anyway.
Either way, solid.
Yeah.
So, yes, certainly happy about that. Potential shakeups, freshness into the division's top. As he says, the time of Justin, and Chandler just fighting each other is finally over. You say it that way, and it makes me feel like it wasn't good, but we know we loved it. I'm going to watch them fight as often as possible because they're amazing. But yeah, no, and I remember you saying this too, Rio, but Synchro called Justin, Connor, Chandler the separate 155 on MMA ecosystem. Yeah, it's like a mini division within the division a little bit, the violence aspect. Isaiah is here, so it doesn't got matched with an absolute killer. Yes, he did. So, okay, before we move on to our regularly scheduled segments, Alex, we're not going to do predictions yet because, of course, we'll wait till the fight weeks there. But both of the veterans, former interim champ and champ, are the underdogs here. Do we agree? Should the new blood be favored in these matchups? How do you feel at the moment?
I mean, with how Benoit Saint Denis has been looking and how Armin has been looking, I mean, it's hard not to
the momentum
peg them as the favorite. Yeah, I mean, I think the lines are right. With that being said, like Matt Favola to Dustin Poirier is a big jump.
Insane. Yeah.
Big jump. Big jump. So, I mean, that one, I could, I mean, you could, if Poirier was the favorite, I could be like, oh, yeah, makes sense. But I think, you know, recency bias and just momentum is what got them got the odds like that.
Yeah, I think Poirier being underdog definitely surprised me way more. Pretty much just because of what you said of going from Frivola to him and like being ranked 12th and all these things. Like, I'm surprised people are giving him that much love. Like, that's great to see and all. I think it's fair. Not quite sure I would still do it just because of all these things too. But again, with Oliver, he's fucking always the underdog. So like that doesn't surprise me. Really. Yeah. Like, do I believe it's fair? Yeah, I think it should be like pretty close. But if I was to say which one is more,
was he the underdog going into the Beneil fight?
Ooh, I'm not so sure about that one actually. Let's pull up the best fight odds here. I would assume so. Because like it feels like he always is, right? Outside of like maybe the Tony fight.
Plus he was coming off the Makhachev loss.
Yeah, so against Dariush. Yeah, he was. He was plus 100 to minus 120. Good call there. Here, let's just look at them all real quick. Yeah. Or just down the line. So Makhachev, of course. He was favored over Gaethje pretty decently, minus 205 to 170, plus 175. Underdog against Poirier, plus 145 to minus 165. Favored slightly over Chandler. He was Alex. He was actually the underdog against Tony. That's so incredible.
And
I
picked Tony to beat him too.
Yeah. Even at that point, I would have figured he still would have been. But then from there, it was kind of before he, was kind of fighting some of those guys. So if we're going way back, he was underdog against Will Brooks, underdog against Paul Felder. But anyway, it's nothing new for Charlie Olives. To get counted out is pretty much what we are getting at. Alvin is here. Hello, so excited for this week's movie club. Such grateful, insightful discussion about great movies. Yes, I am. I'm ready for that for sure, Alvin. I cannot wait for both of our movies, honestly. But okay, with that in mind, yes, we will move on from the fights. Cannot wait for them. Going to be so good. UFC 299 and 300, 298, 297. I'm excited for this whole first quarter of the year in MMA, which is something I don't get to say very often anymore. So cannot wait. But all right, Alex, let's get back to it. Injecting for our Mania mainline, my man, where we talk about, of course, the upcoming event, give our previews and prediction for the main event, but more specifically, highlight the stuff that tickles our fancy the most, what we enjoy or are most excited for just overall on the MMA weekend. What is sticking out to you?
Man,
because honestly, the Vegas
Ricky
card,
Simone versus Mario Bautista is mine. That's mine for sure. But I mean, to be honest, for an Apex card, this isn't a bad one. It's pretty. It has some pretty good fights on it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to choose from, and I kind of, it caught me off guard. Was scanning it. I'd keep up with things, of course, as they're put together. But then when you kind of see the final product a couple of weeks before, you're like, okay, all right. Or you're like,
yeah.
This one actually has a lot to like on it. There's some matchups that are, I'm very much looking forward to. And some guys that we've been talking to in the weeks leading up, of course, Tom Nolan has been one who's a second fight. And then Josh Van is going to be back kicking off the show.
Yeah, I mean, man, the only fight I really don't give a fuck about is Andrei Arlovsky. I really like. That's probably going to be the one where I go back to the media room, go to the media room and eat or something. Like I couldn't give a fuck about that fight. So I'm gonna not talk about it, and I'm gonna talk about Ricky Simone versus Mario Bautista. Man, that fight's fantastic, and Mario finally gets the step up that he's been he got robbed of the Cody Garbrandt fight. Obviously, that was probably supposed to be the fight that got him into, a more bigger audience's eyes. So now he's fighting Ricky Simone, who's coming off, he got beat up against Song Yadong. So it's going to be his first fight back. And it's just kind of a crucial fight for the bantamweight division for both of them, right? This is Mario's shot to get in, and he's been fighting his way to get into the top 15. And this Ricky spot kind of holding his own and saying
not today,
not today, right? That's it. So it's just both guys are pretty good grapplers. I say Ricky's probably the better wrestler, but I feel
Mhm.
like Mario's the better jiu-jitsu guy. And both guys are very competent strikers. So it's just a very, very fun fight. Obviously Manel Kopp's back.
Mhm.
And
Hopefully nothing happens
yeah,
this
I
week.
know, right? Fucking knock on fucking wood. And I mean, if he goes out there and like sparks Nicolau, I
Yeah.
could see him leapfrogging the winner of Moreno versus Albazi. To be honest, like,
Mhm.
um, obviously it depends on how like that fight goes and everything. But
Yeah.
like, if the UFC wants a fun fight, and I mean, obviously it's not a fresh matchup for Pantoja because they fought.
Yeah.
But that was that dude that Manel Kopp fought Pantoja in his UFC debut, which is
Crazy in hindsight, yeah.
you know, right? It's pretty wild.
But
So
also
yeah,
fair, was the Rise and Bantamweight champ. I'll throw it out there.
yeah. I mean, they fucking pushed him right, and then like what he did he weigh in
He was
for
the
the back,
backup before he even debuted.
dude?
Right away.
Which is dude, right? I mean, that's just nuts. That's
Yeah.
nuts. So yeah, so those are the two. And I'll talk about prospects a little bit later.
Yep, we'll get to that.
Well, what fight are you looking forward to?
So you stole mine. So took the words out of my mouth. I will pivot to my secondary choice because again, we have I think plenty of options on this card. But Caleb B here asking is Mario Batista versus Ricky buried in the undercard? Every show I've listened to really think it's going to be a banger. It is going to be a banger. It is not buried in the undercard. It is the fight. Second fight on the main card, assuming everything's up to
Yeah.
date here. But yeah, it is right in the middle of the main card, pretty much, Caleb. So rightfully so. Yeah, that fight, as you said, worthy of co-main or main, maybe not main for me, but stylistically, yeah, fantastic. Could have been co-main on this card for sure. Mateo says keep an eye on Bruno the Hulk Ferreira. Haas might be fed to the wolves there. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. And then he has another question here before I give my new choice. Where does the community stand on the smaller Apex cage? I feel like it promotes more finishes, but people hate the no person venue. Yeah, I don't think about the cage size really anymore at all, unless it's pointed out, Mateus. But I am definitely over the small atmosphere. That's for sure. But I don't know, Alex. How about you?
It's tough. Like, I think that the Apex provides value in that, like, obviously, like, you know, I don't know if Johnny Walker and Ankalaev could sell out a arena, right? Or I mean, I'm sure it could sell out a Vegas casino, um, but like, it's not going to sell an arena. Or like Joe
Buddy
Piper versus
Almeida versus Rosenstrike. I counter anything with that.
right, or like Hermanson versus Piper, like that's not going to sell out
Yeah.
an arena. Um, so like I think it's just, obviously it's UFC saving money and it's giving fighters that can't sell arenas a chance to headline a card. But what it all comes down to is I think the fighters need to fight in front of a crowd, and that's the
Yes.
one thing that's like my biggest problem with it. I love that I live 10 minutes away from it. I'm
Right.
at every one, but like the fighters need to fight in front of crowds. Like that's the whole thing about live sports, right? The live sports aspect of it, and them not fighting in front of a crowd because I mean there is people in the Apex, obviously, but
Yeah.
like the last five I've been to, it's not been selling out.
Pretty barren.
So like that's my only thing. Again, it's just them not fighting in front of a crowd.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's crazy, like as you're saying that too, like thinking about how what Strickland has the most Apex fights. Tom Aspinall's like whole UFC career until I think what the first London show that he did. It was
Yeah.
it's kind of wild to reflect on guys who are stars now, like and how much maybe you could have accelerated or how much bigger they could have been because they would have been in front of things earlier. So yeah, it's I 100% agree there. And Rio here, real quick, giving some love to Josh Van on EMA Ecosystem, voted for his best performance against Borjas as best bodywork performance that people forgot about, except for Dan Tom, of course. Dan doesn't forget a thing. But all right, so the one that I'm going to choose now, I'm going to pivot to is I think pretty under the radar. I think you're going to agree with me on this one, though, Alex. But I struggle to see how Marcus McGee versus Gaston Bolanos doesn't just give us some kind of good old nasty highlight reel finish. Gaston Bolanos. It is still very strange to me to think about him being in UFC because he felt like such this kickboxer guy who is Bellator only. Kind of Raymond Daniels ish in that regard. Whereas, like, obviously, I don't think we're going to see Raymond in the UFC anytime soon or make any jumps because he's older. But here we are, the Gaston Bolanos experiment in UFC now. He's continuing on. I just didn't think he would stick with MMA is kind of the thing. And now here he is taking on a guy with Marcus McGee, who came into the UFC on short notice and is doing just fine, lighting people up. And I think this is a banger. There's still very much prospect territory and kind of growing within that incredibly loaded bantamweight division. So it's always going to be hard to climb over people. But between these two guys, I see fireworks coming. So I'm looking forward to this one. I expect to finish. Gonna be good. If I had to pick another choice here, let's just give shouts to Jim Miller. Why don't we? Gabriel Benitez. He's gonna want to get in there quick, put it on Mowgli to get on UFC 300. We know that's the goal. So this is perfect timing and alignment to do it. And I think opponent, because we've seen Benitez sparked several times. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's gonna be fun. I think this card is actually way more fun than it's getting credit for because all the time in the break. And I know you probably want to give some love to the Boscherats as well, and maybe we'll get to that with the Spotlightville. So why don't we just jump on over there to Spotlightville and talk about our prospects to look at this week?
First of all, but first before we get there, who do you got in the main event?
Oh, yes, of course. My God. See, we're getting back in the swing of things, guys. Alex keeping me reined, and we got to talk about the rest of mainline, which is, yes, Ankalaev versus Walker 2. Spoiler alert, we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. Ankalaev is going to be champ this year, so he is going to beat Johnny Walker. I don't think that we can really go off the first fight too much, right? Like, it was, let me check real quick how long that even it lasted. Pretty much all we got was brief wall install and then the illegal knee. 313. Yeah, wasn't much of a fight, but stylistically, I think actually, like, looking back on it right this second, I thought Johnny was actually moving pretty well. Looking, he was looking fine. Like, there were not a lot to go off of, but he looked comfortable in there. Like, he was getting decent reads for that quick period of time on Ankalaev. So I think really for him, he just has to catch him. That'll be the thing. And we haven't really seen Ankalaev chin checked. I think good idea to obviously work the leg after seeing what Blachowicz did against him. But then, like a champ, kind of resolved there, came back, fought smart to utilize his fight IQ and wrestled after that. So he's just got so many more tools than Johnny. And of course, we know Johnny, a very strong breeze will take him out. So I just think there's way, 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 way more paths to victory. Even though Johnny Walker's surprising us on the ground lately as well. If he pulled off a Hail Mary like Paul Craig, that would be insane. Don't see it happening. I just think, again, too much tightness to Ankalaev's overall game, too many ways to possibly win this fight. I feel very comfortable with him getting it done. And if I had to be specific, I'm going to say second round, probably knockout. What you got?
Yeah,
how you feel?
I'm kind of mimicking you exactly what you're saying. Although I'd be lying to say, like, I kind of hope Johnny Walker knocks Ankalaev out so that we get a Johnny Walker versus Alex Pereira to headline UFC Sao Paulo or wherever they're going in Brazil for UFC 301.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the UFC wants, and I'd be fine with it, but I doubt that's going to happen because I think Ankalaev is probably. The question is, do you think Ankalaev uses his grappling and just kind of holds Walker down?
I think he'll probably. Yeah, I think he'll probably try. Honestly, I think he'll approach it pretty much the same way as the first fight, just because it didn't go very differently. And what we saw kind of the case with, the Kutalaba fight where, he had to fight him back-to-back times and didn't quite change things, didn't necessarily need to. So again, I think he's one of those guys where if he doesn't need to change something, he isn't gonna. Whereas again, then you look at the Blachowicz fight, he needed to change that. He's getting his leg chopped off. Let's adapt here. He's smart like that. So I think that, there's no reason for him to change up his approach that he was going with until he starts getting in danger. So, and then like I mentioned the Paul Craig one, that just kind of happened. So, that just kind of happened. He was fucking murdering the poor guy and then he got caught in a triangle. Still blows my mind to think about that one. But, yeah, and that was also years ago. So, kind of irrelevant. But yeah, I would expect he will probably try and use his grappling. So there you have it, guys. And Ghost is asking, why is the Mania mainline an injection emoji and not the train tracks emoji? Get it, mainline. Nice, nicely done. I guess that might make more sense. Yeah, you know where my mind is going, I guess. And Rio says, just don't say your fight is in the desert or your fight will get canceled, Drake. But it is in Vegas this time, so we would be correct again. Is that a thing? Has that been happening? I don't know what this is, Rio.
He told the doctor
Oh,
in Abu
right.
Dhabi that he
Johnny.
was in the desert,
I thought
and
he was talking about Cape for a second.
oh,
Right. Yeah, good call. Good call then. Oh my god. Ghost, I'm hoping to see another no contest for Ankalaev because he will never have won or lost again.
last time Ankalaev was in the
Brutal.
Apex, it was a fucking god awful fight against Thiago Santos. So there's that.
So there you have that. Actually, oh yeah, no, you're correct. Yeah. Um, well, don't put that on us. Okay, with that, we'll now go to Spotlightville now. Let's talk about more positive things. People, the person who deserves spotlight from each of us this week. Alex will take care of the bros. I got the lady of the week. Alex, who are we looking at? I mentioned Basharat. Did I spoil it?
No, actually, I'm going with I have like
We also have
basically
LFA this
yeah.
week.
So I have three on UFC. I have one on LFA. Obviously Marcus McGee. You already kind of talked about it. He's just fun. He's just
Yeah.
must watch television. Josh Fan. He's been doing his thing. And so he goes from two sold out arenas back to his first fight in the Apex, and he fights someone it's pretty good, man. But Josh Fan's the real deal. Tom Nolan, this guy is he's undefeated. He got his contract on Dana White's Contender Series, and it was the first week he fucking knocked this dude out cold, and it was interesting because his opponent was talking mad shit, and
Mm-hmm.
so like basically during his post fight interview, he's like, "I don't like bullies, and if you bully me, I'm gonna fucking knock you out," and that's what he did.
There you
So
go.
you know, he's very exciting to fight, very exciting to watch, and he's got knockout power. He's 6'3" as a lightweight, so he's one of the Jalen Turners,
All right.
big tall guy. And he's fighting Nicholas Mata, who just has not showed up in the UFC yet. And it seems like it's just a very easy fight on paper to pick just because Nicholas Mata has been knocked out. And he should have lost to Trey Ogden. But the thing is like, it's Tom Nolan's UFC debut. It's always
Jitters.
worrisome to bet on a UFC debutante. And I mean, say what you want, Nicholas Mata at least has the UFC experience. So, but it should be fun nonetheless. It's going to be a banger for as long as it lasts. And for LFA, I'm gonna go Jacoby Jones. He fought on Dana White's Contender Series this last season, but he basically got worked. He got worked for 3 rounds. Against Daniel Allen, and then Daniel Allen didn't get a contract, which was very confusing and head scratching, especially because Jacoby Jones is the LFA lightweight champion and just didn't get the contract. So Jacoby Jones is back, his first fight after losing on the Contender Series to defend his LFA title, and you know. He's Fraser from Factory X, and all the Factory X guys that I've talked to say that he's just a savage in the gym, and he's one of like the unspoken killers about that gym. And so I mean, if he goes out there and wins, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets another chance on the Contender Series this year, or maybe he's gonna have to defend that LFA belt a couple times and then get a get a call somewhere. But yeah, so Josh Fan, Marcus McGee, Tom Nolan, Jacoby Jones. Yeah.
Welcome to Spotlightville, gentlemen. Excellent. Yeah, not too far off there for the LFA potential. And yeah, Alex, I'm going to LFA as well this week because there's no women fighting in the UFC. And, it's kind of slim pickings as the calendar gets rolling back on. And again, don't have too many options here, but we're going to go with Kendra McIntyre, who is a strawweight, competing against Jade Sheely at that same event on the 12th, which, what is that? Is Friday. She is just 2-0 right now, 27 years old, has fought she made her debut in Invicta last year, got the win over Diana Sanchez, unanimous decision at Invicta FC 52. Looks solid there, has a Muay Thai background, so she utilizes her striking pretty well. Good combos, good aggression, but then more impressively in her second appearance when she made her LFA debut in August last year, she beat Alondria Brown, right? Or is it Rosales? Maybe different person there. Excuse
No,
me.
no, 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 no,
Same
no, no.
one? Changed her name?
Yeah. She married Jacob Rosales. So
Okay. I was like, wait a
yeah.
minute. I thought, okay. Who, of course, Alondria Brown has been kind of a staple of the strawweight division, the women's divisions in LFA, and was kind of still building up, her early career to eventually get somewhere. But bit of an upset, you could say there for sure. So good win, especially earlier in her career for Kendra. Not like super high on her or anything, but she's looked solid so far, and I think these wins that she's gotten have been maybe indicative of some potential and starting off undefeated and trying to be active, kick off the new year here with a potential third straight win. So takedown defenses look solid. That's kind of the big question mark, right? Until she goes against a wrestler with her striking background. But hey, this is what the LFA is for. Build them up, keep an eye on her this week, see how she does. So there we go. Shouts to Kendra McIntyre. Don't have a whole lot, but hey, it's better than nothing.
I mean, the two women's fights got canceled off this card, and I could not be happier because they were going to be
Son of
fucking
a
shitty
bitch.
fights.
I know. Norma was supposed to fight, wasn't she? I love Norma. What was the other one? What do we got here? Oh, there's
Macy
and
Chashan.
Ketlin.
Yeah. Nope. Don't give a fuck.
I was looking forward to both of those. And I
Oh,
remember
you
you said
dog.
that when they were brought up.
You dog.
Somebody's gotta. All right. Well, on that note, you guys, we will depart Spotlightville and we will now crack on open the Dralex Movie Club. Alex, boy, oh boy, here we go. Getting into all the spoilers and whatnot first, but actually, we have story time first. And before I get into story time, Alex, we're gonna cheat a little bit. Since when you tweet about a movie, I got to kind of bring it up to you. And you mentioned you were going to see Iron Claw. So give me brief review recap. Clearly it was good. I saw a lot of people bitching and complaining about the Ric Flair, and I saw the clip there. Didn't look great, but other than that, how was the movie? How was the movie?
I feel like it's only fucking wrestling fan, like hardcore wrestling fans, are like,
Who
yeah,
will care?
he's not Ric Flair. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking brutal movie.
Hmm.
No ways about it. And yeah, I mean, it it's a fantastic movie that is gut wrenching. It is
Right.
gut wrenching. Zac Efron is amazing. It's directed well. The wrestling in it, and the cool thing about it is that you don't have to know shit about wrestling to enjoy the
Yeah.
movie. Like that's what's the best. That's the best thing about what makes a good sports movie great is you don't have to be a fan of that sport to enjoy that movie.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's a brutal movie. It's gonna break your heart, especially if you have siblings. Yeah, it'll fuck you up.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. I can imagine. But okay, so I have a story now about my past weekend because I saw another movie I hadn't seen ever before on Saturday night. with shouts to a buddy and colleague over at mafighting.com, Mr. Steven Morocco. He, of course, lives nearby me, and we hang out every now and then. And I'm about to throw him semi under the bus here, but we went. He told me we hung out on Wednesday, and he was saying he was going to go see this movie in this theater in our town that does like a bunch of throwback old school type movies, right? Like obscure movies from like the 80s and whatnot, you name it, weird stuff you would never even think of because Portland, right? So he was like, I'm going to see this one on Saturday night with some friends and whatnot. I've seen it a couple times, and he said something about it, and I kind of, it just went in through the ear out the other. I didn't really capture it. I was drinking a little bit. So Saturday, get to the movie. It's this movie. I don't know if you have heard of it, Alex, but it's called Koyaanisqatsi from 1982, and
No.
it's a movie without any actors, any dialogue. So the whole thing is just random images, footage of things with music over it for an hour and a half. And, like, I get what it was doing. It looked amazing for 1982, but man, it's just not quite necessarily my thing. I appreciated it. I fell asleep a little bit in the middle of it. It was like, bro, you set me up for failure here. Like the movie starts out like 10 minutes of footage of the Grand Canyon. That's like it. Then it goes to clouds, and then it like slowly. I was like, "This is like such a funny story," because I know Alex would fucking hate this.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
But
Nope.
it was yeah.
Not
Again,
for me, pal.
yeah, I get what they were doing, but here's the craziest part though: sold out, packed, full theater, only Portland. Movie ends. People applauded. Alex, that is fully encapsulates Portland right there. If you've never been,
Yeah,
it was
that just
insane.
makes me not want to go to Portland now. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
you
you
just
go.
yeah,
I'm
just kind of
pushing
fucked me up
people
there.
away. It was insane. But then I like even looked at reviews and stuff after, and so many people like 10 out of 10, best movie ever. All this, I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is happening? Like, again, I get it. There were some, yeah, the messages are all there, but like an hour and a half is way too long for that. Like, make it 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it was it was pretty brutal. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm waiting for this to get over. So sorry, Steven, but
yeah, it just sounds rough. Ugh.
it was I mean it makes for a funny story, but yeah. I wish I
That's
didn't
about
say
it.
that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. Oh man. Alvin says, I agree with Mr. Behunin. It was beautifully acted by Zach Efron and very sad, such a powerful way to convey both strength and vulnerability with that poetic foot. Awesome. So Alvin catching up on it too. I love how Alvin's totally on board with like everything we've been seeing. So all right. Off that story time, Alex. Let's get into talk radio, my friend. What did you think about this one? Staying with the 80s theme, but better than Koyaanisqatsi. Oliver Stone. Was it Eric Bogosian? Tell me about it. What'd you think?
yeah. So I watched it last night. Me and the wife watched it. Eric, I mean, just like the movie last week with Will Ferrell, like the
Mm-hmm.
movie is all Eric Bogosian. If he's not good, the movie
Yeah.
fails. And dude, he was fantastic. And it's interesting because he wrote the original play that the movie's based on.
Mm.
And man, it's just what really kind of struck me about it is like there's themes in the movie that like are still out here like still
Yes.
it was a 1988 movie and it still hits it hard in 2024 about race and politics and everything, everything. But
Mm-hmm.
also, like his fucking talk radio show is basically Twitter. I mean, it's exactly what it is, bro.
Right.
It's exactly what it is. It's as if Twitter it was alive in 1988. But yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. Oliver Stone, you know what you're getting into in Oliver Stone movie is very sharp dialogue, very poignant, and kind of just talking to stuff.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Eric Bogosian is I've always really liked whatever I've seen him in, and
Mhm.
I did want to say like he has a very good voice for radio.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean, he was perfect, dude.
yeah, the one scene in the movie, like when his wife calls in on the radio show towards the end of the
Uh-huh.
movie, and then he just fucking absolutely destroys her. It's such a brutal scene to watch. Like, just like oh, like, and you like feel like it's coming.
Yeah.
And it just brutal. The thing about it too is like I liked his character in the beginning of the movie, and then towards
Mhm.
the end, I'm like, I fucking despise this guy. Like, he's just
Right,
not a
the more
good.
you get
He's
to
a kind
know
of
him.
yeah. He's just kind of a despicable fucking cunt. So I just yeah, and and then he dies, and so it's kind of like kind of you deserve what you get, bro. So
Yeah,
yeah.
seriously.
So I mean, yeah, it's a very and I wasn't sure about going in the movie because I really do like movies set in one place, but
Mhm.
I just wasn't sure like Oliver Stone, one location, talk radio, but
How's this gonna
man,
be?
but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a fantastic movie.
Awesome, awesome. I love to hear that. Yeah, man, it was so crazy because I remember I first saw this, I wanna say, going back to 2017 time-ish, maybe around then, like, rough maybe 8-ish, so many years ago, it came on, like, randomly on TV and started, and I was like, "Oh, like, what's this?" And it's you kinda one of those things where you're just watching it and like, "Oh, I'm just gonna see," and then you end up watching the whole thing. Like, that was my first time watching this movie, and I was like, "Man, that was really good." And so, I always love too, I think the scene of, of when Barry's, like, really breaking down and just going off on on everybody, and the way that that's shot where, like, he's talking
He's
and the room's
it's
spinning
spinning.
around him, I was like, that is, like that was my chef's kiss scene, I think, for that movie, like, there's a couple, right? But that one to me stands out of just how it was done, and, like, they're letting him go, and then he brings on the callers and just, like, back to back to back, it's like, whatever, like, fucking what is wrong with you guys? Like
Yeah, well, 1000%. And I asked my wife, and it's like I kind of like agree with it. Like, I think Alec Baldwin is one of like the most underrated actors.
dude, yeah,
Because like no one talks about him like as an elite actor. Like people. I think more people know him for like 30 Rock than anything
yes,
nowadays. And like, of
it's
course, like
crazy.
he had some hits in the 80s, but like everything he's ever been in, he's fucking terrific.
No, totally. Yeah, it's funny, like, this is an obvious one, but I remember a couple months ago, I rewatched Beetlejuice, and I was like, "God damn." Like, "God damn, man.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah,
this guy." So, yeah, no, I totally agree. That's so true. It's crazy how, like, 30 Rock has pretty much stole his whole,
yeah,
accolades for the most part. Not that
yeah,
that's, like, a bad
1000%.
thing, but it's weird. It's definitely weird. Um, so yes, talk radio, fantastic stuff. I'm really glad you liked that one because yeah, a little bit of a challenge. Those single setting movies can be not for everybody, but I like the mention here from Mateo Sweet. I loved Locke, Tom Hardy
Yeah,
movie from 2013, fantastic. Haven't seen The Guilty, Danish film. He says Danish film. He says. Um, all right. And Alvin says, I really enjoyed talk radio. My favorite scene was when Ellen talks to Barry on air and Barry breaks down. Yes, definitely a good one. It's truly
yeah,
uncomfortable and shows how broken Barry was. Man, I think that's the biggest thing about this movie, though, to me, Alex, is like, we're not in the exact same position, right? But doing podcasts and kind of things where you're putting yourself out there, it's like, it's really easy to, maybe get rattled by some things, and especially when you're in that spot that's so maybe magnified as what, Barry obviously was. It's
dude, no,
a little bit more
one
relatable.
1000%. No, I mean,
Especially
last year I
like
was
you said
struggling
with
with it.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude, with Twitter, dude. I mean, last year I was like struggling with it. I'm like, all right, these fucking losers are coming at me, and I'm gonna respond to every single one. And then, funny enough, it was fucking John Morgan.
Of course.
I was talking to him
I was
at
there.
the Apex one time, and he was just like, bro, um, first of all, don't respond to these fucking people on Twitter. And two, just ignore him and mute him. Because one, he's like, if you ever need criticism, don't go to Twitter for it. Like, come to your peers. And ever since he told me that, I'm like, I'm free, bro. I'm free, bro. Like, my mental health, I'm fucking free.
God damn, he's right.
Yeah.
Just takes a one. Yes, definitely fantastic advice. But all right, on that note though, Alex, what would you rate it? We got to get the rating.
I'm gonna give it like a 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, all right. Proud of that. Okay, so let's move along now to start pulling up the movie posters because why not? Sound of Metal. Let's talk about this one or not. Maybe we can just sit here just for a little bit. Let's just have a moment of stillness, Alex. Because my God, you called it. You called it, my friend. Back to back 10 out of 10s. Back to back. Boom, kaboom. Oh, I love this movie. Fucking hell. This was another masterpiece. Absolute cinema of the highest order. I'm going to get emotional right now just talking about it. This hit me on every fucking level you could have imagined. Oh my God. I'm kind of upset you gave this to me because not, but this is one of my new favorites ever. Sound of Metal 2019. Riz Ahmed, directed by Darius Martyr. There's just so many elements about this movie. So let's go through the notes, get right into it. I love very nicely, subtly starting with the opening scene, the concert, where maybe some indistinguishable tones, all these things, but there's jamming out, doing their thing. And instantly, I think this is why I love this movie so much, because there was a lot of relatability I had, not just with Ruben's character, but then with some situations that happened. So in the very beginning of the movie, the first scene with that concert, like, you can hear, but things are, I mean, especially with Lou's singing was kind of thing was like, not sure if I can understand what she's saying. Not sure if I'm supposed to, yada, yada, this and that. I went to a concert in September when I saw, shout out to Calabrese, fantastic band. Show wasn't that great though, and I'm pretty sure that it was because I was standing, like, I was in the very front right next to the speaker, but like I couldn't really hear shit, and I was like fucking up my left ear. It was just too loud. Show wasn't that great, but like I got further away and all that. I was like, I think just maybe it's the venue plus me getting blasted there, but just I was like, I know exactly what this feels and sounds like in person, and I was like having that concern of, I might actually be fucking up my hearing like real bad tonight. Like, it's just not seeming like you're noticing something's extra off. So that is immediately what I felt like reminded of with the opening scene. So I was like, oh boy, we're in for a treat. So that began. Lou and Ruben, they get on the road. I like the way that the RV scene was done with kind of the random conversations throughout. That was just kind of fun. Like, everybody's been there who's been on a road trip before. It was well shot, well done. I mean, it's the whole movie, beautiful, looks great. There were a lot of fun angles and scenes kind of like that one I mentioned there and how they were done. And man, I love this whole movie. And, if I'm to pick though between halves, like, I think the first half kind of hit me maybe a little bit harder. So like when Ruben was first realizing that he's deaf, or like, going deaf, you can feel that so so well. Like, I don't really know how, just the muffledness, if you will, or of like the sounds, and like so impactful. The way that all the sound things were done with this movie were just like spot on. Like, it was very impressive, and I feel like not that hard to do, like basic thought, but you know, nailed it. Martyr nailed it for sure. I really felt that, where it's like, oh, I feel deaf too. Like, I feel like it really puts you in the seat of Ruben throughout the whole movie. Like, that was maybe the best part about it. But going back to last week too, I kind of like the similarity to Alex of like with the wrestler, and where these are two main characters who are struggling to let go of their identity for the most part. Right, like that's kind of the movie. These last two movies are identity crisis movies, which great and totally understandable for what is happening to them, but kind of like that parallel. Um, First scene with Joe, I was absolutely captivated by, right, where he goes to the group, the community, if you will, and he's talking to him for the first time with the screen and everything. I was like, what's he gonna say? I was so drawn into that because, like, again, the movie does such a great job of putting you in Ruben's seat with his position with, it'll fluctuate between his perspective of not being able to hear and then, back to, just out from a third person perspective and all that. But it does such a great job of putting you in there. And just like every scene, I think like between him and Joe were probably my favorite scenes too, because their chemistry and like the just going back and forth that they always had was fucking brilliant. And then of course their final moment was like, oof, that was great too. But Alex, I'm going to tell you too. Well, first of all, Riz obviously excellent, amazing performance. He did win an Oscar this year, right? That year for the movie, or nominated? You're muted, my friend.
No. He got robbed. He
Ah,
lost to. Hold on.
2019.
He lost to.
My Fassbender sounds about right that year.
2019. Where is it? 2019. Oh, he lost to Walking Phoenix for Joker.
Well, there's that.
No, actually, no. Never mind. I'm lying because it was 2020. So it was Anthony
Ah.
Hopkins beat him. Anthony Hopkins beat him for The Father, and I was so fucking mad.
Like, this old prick's already got one.
Yeah. That was the year that I think if you go back on Twitter and like
People
search
were
for it on
livid.
Ed, I was fucking pissed.
Or go find them receipts now.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Riz Ahmed, absolutely just flawless, immaculate performance. And what I was getting at too here, Alex, was like I cannot recall, I cannot ever recall a time in a movie where I was feeling like getting emotionally worked up, like about to cry midway through the movie. Right. So like for some reason, not for some reason, obviously the way it built to that, but when him and Lou first separate, fuck, that was so that scene, something about that just got me so hard because he's still reluctant that at that time to go and to try and fix himself. He still wants to get on the road. Still, we can figure I can drum to this way. But like you could see how much it affected her throughout, and it did such a great job of making you care about the characters so quickly. Like when maybe you shouldn't have, because like you didn't really have a great reason, but it's just I think how I mean, I guess relatable that kind of thing can be, but how well it put you in the position of like, man, this is me. Like it makes you feel like that. And then I think the little subtleties again, where like you're seeing what these people have gone through without being told it. So like the RV, just for one example. And then when they wake up and you see the scars on Lou's arm, like you see that things haven't been perfect. Maybe there's some depth to this that makes you, oh, like, oh man, what happened? So
Yeah.
it just built it that way without directly throwing it in your face and telling you, which I always love that kind of thing, treating the audience smart, like they know what what they're watching or can comprehend. So that was great. And I think the lack of subtitles in a lot of scenes specifically stood out to me. Like the first dinner scene at the community was great also because again, it's all about making you feel like you're Ruben. And I have no idea what these people are signing to each other. So it's like, I was kind of waiting, like, are they going to do subtitles? And then they didn't. I was like, all right, I see why not. That's great. Also, I mean, just everything. I don't even need to continue to put the great label on because that's just how this entire movie is. As for the title specifically, there is so much fucking poetry to this that was brought out. Like, first, the slide scene, Alex, with the kid, him and the kid, if you remember, where he's playing drums on it and the kid's putting his ear to it. Sound of metal there, literally. And then obviously that circles around to post operation. Um, and I mean, just it's an incredible contrast from the start to the start to the end of the movie, and just like I love when they get the clever title usage there. You know, like there was another
Right.
movie we were talking about earlier, the last so many, but nailed it here. I love that poetry, and man, I'll tell you, the activation scene was as heartbreaking as I expected it to be. I didn't think it was going to be all back to normal, you know,
Yeah.
and kind of uh, that ignorant hope, I guess, a little bit, or just like blinded hope of fixing things to that degree. And I have a lot of relatability with Ruben in that some regards there, and other ways, um, with just his kind of headstrongness and recommitting to Lou without even talking to her and things like that. I just resonated with a lot of him, for better or worse. But my goodness, and then of course the ending of it, poetry. Fucking oh my god, it was so fucking good. I mean, I can't say enough good things.
Yeah.
Every single cylinder, boom, 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 boom.
I
So
knew it.
like what I did
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew you'd love it. I knew I'd hit you in a different way. I just like the movie. The way the director plays with sound is just so terrific
Mhm.
because the way he turned, like you can't hear when they're signing it. Like
Yeah.
he wants the audience to like feel what it feels like to be deaf in
Yes.
some way, right? And that's what's so just so fantastic about it.
Mm.
And also, Ruben's a recovering heroin addict,
Yeah.
and while he isn't using heroin, there's other addict traits
Yes.
and impulsiveness, right? He's
Yes.
impulsive, and it fucks his fucking life up.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
and I mean that was why too. I kind of just kind of glossed over the last scene with Joe, but like where he's like, Ruben, you're sounding like an addict right now. You know, like, yeah,
yeah,
100% he was.
yeah, yeah.
Where he's asking him for the money, and like that was a great kind of parallel there. And how he asked him about that briefly in the very beginning, and it's so good. If like this is mandatory viewing. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I think if we're again gonna compare it between the wrestler two, of course, this will be more relatable for a lot of people. But
Right.
both just I don't know how we go up from here, Alex. My goodness.
I know. Fuck. I fucking gave you two fucking 10 out of 10s back to back. So
Yeah,
yeah,
history. As Alvin says, agree with Mr. Rick. Sound of Metal was a carefully crafted movie. Even the camera work had beautiful subtleties. Absolutely, absolutely. That was I mean, yeah, every aspect of it was just very, very on point. Riz Ahmed portrayal of going deaf was really interesting in the time frame, even if it's just a few months, feels like an eternity. Yeah, that is true too. Like I was paying attention to that. I was like, his hair is not like getting super long. Like that was kind of my way of telling the time, was like paying attention to his hair and stuff. But it still had that feeling of like, I mean, yeah, all the time just not being able to hear, and we're hoping to get to this point of bringing it back. Like it's gonna feel like forever. So,
yeah.
um, very great point there, Alvin. But man, yeah, that was so good. I honestly I want to watch the movie again already. Like I'm probably gonna watch it again this week. Like, that was man, just stellar. I'm glad I didn't wait a decade to get to that.
Right. And I mean, yeah, Rhythm Minute was so good. Did you watch Nightcrawler?
Yes, he was in it. I don't
Yes.
remember him in
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. He's Jake Gyllenhaal's partner.
Oh, right, the one he lets die.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay, yeah, no, I love Nightcrawler too. That's one of my favorites from that year, which was a fantastic year of movies. Um, okay, right. He looks so different. Like he was clean shaven in that one and everything.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that was like one of his first mainstream American movies.
okay, yeah, no, he's absolutely excellent. Can't wait to see what else he does in the future. But speaking of the future, Alex, all right, let's go on to this week. So we haven't done our double yet for a good while. I'm wanting to see Poor Things. Emma Stone, who just won a Golden Globe. Congrats to her for that performance, which makes me want to see it even more. Heard Mark Ruffalo is also excellent in the movie, but my lineup of movies to give you is growing like by the week too. So, I don't know. What do you think? What should we do here? Go back to a
I mean,
double?
I really want to see Poor Things as well,
Mhm.
and my wife does. So we're trying to find a screening of it, but
Mhm.
it's kind of getting hard to find. But I think
Mhm.
I could probably find one at some
Yeah.
point before next week. But so it's up to you. I mean, I'm down to do Poor Things, or I have a couple
Okay,
heaters
maybe
for you as
let's
well.
maybe let's
So
wait for streaming on it or
okay,
something. I'll see. But yeah, I got options too. So all right, hit me with what we got instead.
all right, I got a couple. I'm trying to figure out which one. All right. Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
Yes, yeah, I watched it this year. I saw it. I saw it. I think when I was on my way to like Miami or like Florida for some for one of the Game Fresh shows. Fucking
Okay,
amazing.
good. Okay, good, good. American History X.
So I actually haven't seen that one in full. I've only seen random bits, so I'm in
There
for
you
a
go.
treat. Alrighty. I've of course seen The Scene,
Yeah, right, of course.
which one that is. But all right. It's funny you give me American History X though, because uh I could potentially give you an Edward Norton one here that came out kind of recently, but I don't think I will. I think I'll wait on that one. That might be fun to do a double Edward Norton week.
Fuck it.
Let's see if you've seen this one here. It's actually not on my list, but it's been in my mind list. Let me remember what it's called.
You also get fat Ethan Suplee as a
Oh yeah,
big
as a
fat
Nazi,
racist. Yeah.
a big fat racist. Oh, we're going back to 2019, same year of Sound of Metal. Um, did you ever see Motherless Brooklyn, Alex?
Was that Ben Affleck?
No, Edward Norton, Alec Baldwin. Speaking of Willem Dafoe, Bruce Willis. Missed out on
Um,
this one, huh?
yeah, I missed. Actually, funny enough, I actually was. Actually, that was going to be. I was like on my watch list of that year, and I never watched
Ah,
it. So, all right.
perfect. Edward Norton week. I love how I forgot that Alec was in that. Full circle today. All right.
William
Um,
Dafoe, Bruce Willis.
and
Sheesh.
we got a double Ethan Suplee. He's in that one too.
Oh, shit. All
All
right.
right. All right. Good deal. Okay, you guys. Well, that will wrap up the Dre Lex Movie Club. Another fantastic week and another fantastic week coming up, I imagine. But okay, let's get to your questions now that you guys have left throughout the show. Just a couple. Forgot to mention to drop them off the top here, but that's okay. Most of you guys know by now. So we will start off with James from earlier says he just watched a bunch of videos saying Suarez runs through Zhang when she's not even fighting Weili next. Complete disrespect the way I hope Weili runs through her just to prove these goofs wrong. Well, I'm not surprised by the last part there, James. But I mean, you can't be too upset because it's expected to be possibly the next fight. It's that. Well, I mean, she is fighting Lemos first. Never mind. So yeah, okay, that's fair. But yeah, styles make fights, of course. Again, people think stylistically that's going to be a tough one. I think. Well, we talked about this potential matchup like a week or two ago, and like,
Yeah, like I think I literally last week.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like Whaley has really improved her takedown defense. And in order to get in on Whaley, you're gonna have to eat a fucking punch. And
yes,
so yeah, I mean and like she's improved her like get up game, right? Like
yeah,
she's really good at like getting
hmm,
up when she gets taken down. So yeah, I mean it's obviously Tatiana is an Olympic wrestler, right?
hmm,
By far the best in the division. So it's not like it's not like Whaley's faced someone at her caliber, but I feel like Whaley is improving. Like that's one thing like really noticed about Whaley is she's getting better every fight, which is
yes,
very good and very good as a champion. So
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the main thing for me there is I don't think there's going to be any running through either direction, which is, what we talked about last week.
And if Tatiana does run through Whaley, then holy shit.
Yeah, then okay, well, I guess she's gonna just have the division for as long as she wants.
Yeah.
Interesting to think about though here, just a real quick springboard. Like, do we think they would do instant rematch for Whaley? Like, I don't think clearly hasn't earned it with the amount of title defenses or anything, but
it really depends on how
the
if
fight would
Whaley gets
go.
run if he gets run through, probably not.
Yeah.
But I mean, they love Whaley and they love the Chinese market, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope they fucking book her versus it has to happen in China. I still fully am on that board of that line of thinking, but also I don't want to see any stalling. Let's hopefully get Whaley on like 300 or something against Xiaonan. Just
it's probably going to be
do
there.
Just do that.
Makes the most sense.
Yeah, 100%. Ghost says, do you guys hate the term legacy fight as much as I do? For Stipe versus Jones.
I mean, it's like not a fun term, but I mean, for that fight, it's a legacy fight. I mean, it is what it is. Like, you can't describe it any other way. It's a legacy fight.
Right. But that's the annoying thing then for like a title to be involved. Like that's I think the thing about it. Like I'm trying to think of what would be another good example of this because really like shouldn't they all for the most part be considered legacy fights? Like you're building your legacy with every fight in general. So yeah, to specify this one devalues everything else.
I think it's like
Jones
tiers,
is
right?
hammering
It's like
this.
tiers. It's like tiers, right? Like
because like my whole thing with this, and this is obviously the big debate right now between Jones, Stipe, and Aspinall, is Jones is valuing this more than anything else, obviously, for reasons, whatever. It's big debate we don't need to get into, but I think we've mentioned this in the past so many weeks too, but beating Aspinall at this point, way more impressive than Stipe, like at right now, 2024. Don't even think about it. I saw you pondering.
I mean, it is, but also Stipe is arguably the best heavyweight of all time. So having the best heavyweight of all time on your record,
paper wise,
is much better than having the best heavyweight right now.
Yes, true. But I mean, yeah, in terms of the current name value, where they stand, who's been more active, all that stuff. But yes, you have to concede to that. That's not even a debate what you just said. So it is interesting.
And I think that's what's John like at this point in John's career. I mean, if he's going to call it a career after this, after his next fight, whatever it be, would you rather have the best heavyweight of all time on your record?
God damn it.
Or would you rather have Tom Aspinall, who's the best heavyweight right now?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like,
you're trumping me. You're trumping me there. I can't really go against that. Which he practically said today. He said that this morning. Right? Like, fucker.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And don't get me wrong. Like I would do a John Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. Fucking sign me up immediately. Like, I want to watch them fight tomorrow. But like, I mean, John isn't going to fight. Like he's at the tail end of his career. Just give him this fight. I mean, and I understand like why not?
The UFC fucked it up by doing the interim. Just that's the problem. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Like that's what's really fucked this up. And like, I understand everyone's argument, like just strip John and have Tom do it. But like, I mean, really, like, John's the best fucking fighter of all time. Just fucking give it to him. Like Tom's gonna be champion for as long. Like, there's no one gonna beat Tom for a minute. Like, just give John another fucking title defense. Whatever.
Strip him, do heavyweight BMF. Come on. Same thing.
I see that.
Oh my God, incredible. All right. James says, Drake, I finally finished Love Exposure. Yes, just insane movie and probably one of the greatest pieces of art ever made. I don't know if Alex would like that or not. I'm so happy to hear that you liked it, James, and I couldn't agree with you more. I'm still tempted to give it to him here sooner rather than later. 4 hours of mwah, mwah. It's awesome. I'm so happy you finished it and enjoyed it, James. It is out of this world. Speaking of tens. Oh man. I know Alex would just bitch about the time, but he would like it otherwise.
4 hours, bro.
It's crazy.
Shit.
What is the longest movie you've watched, Alex? Would it be The Irishman? Because that was like what, 3:30? That's the right one I'm
Fuck.
thinking of, right? That was the Scorsese De Niro
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Scorsese, Titanic.
How long is Titanic? Is it really that long?
3:30.
Oh, 3:14. Here, let's
14.
go by the exact numbers. How long is The Irishman? 3:29 on The Irishman. So, goddamn.
Yeah, that. Wolf of Wall Street's pretty long.
Yeah, that is true. Doesn't feel like it though, which that's when you know it's good. That's a solid, comfortable 3 hours on the dot right there. It says. I feel like you're not gonna beat The Irishman, right?
Isn't like Lord of the Rings like the last one really long too? And actually, it just felt like it's long because it just kept
The
fucking going.
trilogy. Lord of the Rings. What was the last one? Return of the King. Yeah. What do we got here?
3 hours 49
321.
minutes.
321. Which one was? What'd you say?
Lord of the Rings, 3 hours
The
49
third one.
minutes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Let's see. Let me see here. Love Exposure might not have even been the longest movie I've ever watched. Let me see this. In high school, so technically I have a movie that beats Love Exposure in time, but the Hamlet movie they did in 96 with Kenneth Branagh was actually 4 hours and 2 minutes. I watched that in high school. And it's a doozy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it's got to be Irishman. Apocalypse Now is 3 hours 22 minutes, so 8 minutes shorter than Irishman. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is 3 hours 20 minutes. So yeah, I've
around there.
yeah. Godfather Part 2 is 3 hours 20 minutes. Whew, yeah.
You can
So
go an
4 hours.
extra 30, my
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. No, can't do it, dude. Can't do it.
Did you enjoy The Irishman? I haven't seen it. I think pretty much because of the length, which is funny.
I enjoyed for what it was.
Yeah.
Like it's like a solid 6 out of 10. Like
Mhm.
it was. I think just the hype of it was
Yeah.
so. My expectations were so fucking
much.
high that it was a little bit. Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Al
Yeah.
Pacino. Like, how can you like
Getting
not
the
make that
band back
fucking movie?
together.
So, you know.
Yes. And on the topic of Martin Scorsese, shout outs to Lily Gladstone for winning the Golden Globe too, which we know she's going to clean up everything, right?
Got a good shot.
All right, let's close this out here though with Bog, who's asking for our top 5 bantamweight wrestlers. He says Cejudo, Merab, Sabatello, Aljo, and Umar. Boy, oh boy. Okay, so he threw Sabatello in there, so that includes he's talking MMA overall bantamweights. I think that's a good 5, Alex, for sure. Let me pull up my own personal rankings here so I can see, because I'm mixing promotions on my list. See exactly, but well, actually, you know what, Bog? You're gonna have to eliminate Aljo there because he's leaving. He's going up. You got to take him on out. But while I pull this up, Alex, what would you say? Do you like these guys mentioned? Throw some others in there.
I mean, those make a lot of sense. Like I was trying to think out like who else. Like Cody Stamen's a really good wrestler. That's like underrated, but like
Right. Top 5 though,
yeah, top 5 is tough.
Well, I mean, shit, dude. I think Patchy Mix probably better than Sabatello. Maybe more of the submission grappling, not pure wrestling.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
pure
those
wrestling,
elements.
pure
Yeah.
fucking wrestling boots.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna exclude Sterling from mine because of the fact he's moving up. But obviously we got Marab here. That's no brainer. Actually, let's see.
I feel like Umar. I don't know if Umar's like
You
well
just kind of
known, well
assume
rounded,
he's
right?
got to be. You just
Yeah, right,
assume.
exactly. But he's been knocking people out, right? Like, I
He's
mean,
one
I
of the
guess,
better strikers
like,
in the family.
yeah. Like I feel like he's more of a striker, kicker than a fucking like straight wrestler.
Hmm. Okay, so yeah, here's the thing here. You're gonna love this. We're going pure straight up wrestling. Okay. Marab, Cejudo. I'm not doing order right now. I'm just saying, yeah. Marab, Cejudo, they're in there. I think sure, I'll give Sabatello in there. But then do you have to put Stotts in? That's the thing. If you they're because they're both so kind of close. Mm,
I would say strictly wrestling, Sabatello's got him beat.
okay. All right. So yeah, those three, fine with that. You got to get Shinobu Ota in there by default because he's a fucking silver Olympic medalist. He's in there. um, and then yeah, it's just kind of who you put at 5. I think. That's a tough one. That's actually pretty tricky. Because I mean, yeah, the guys at bantamweight, there's just so much versatility there.
Dan Argueta is a really good wrestler.
I mean, Ricky, who's fighting this week,
Ricky's a really
phenomenal.
good one. I mean, Dominic Cruz is a
I
fucking
I was gonna say
fantastic wrestler.
Dom. Yeah. How dare I leave out my boy? That's a great question though. Actually, Bog, that might be worth some kind of project. Interesting. I don't know. I think we touched on a good amount of them.
Yeah,
By default, we need Cejudo and Ota in there, obviously.
makes sense.
So, all righty. On that note, though, you guys, that'll do it. Another one in the books. Sounds like Alex's dog's got to go to the bathroom. So let the puppies out. So we will wrap it on up. Another Sound and Pound in the books. Lucky number 13. As the UFC's back, UFC Vegas 84 going down this weekend. Alex will be at Media tomorrow, giving you all the goods over at MMania.com with that going on. But aside from it, my friend, any plugs? No, you dropped the LFA piece the other day, or what? The not
Fury.
LFA piece, the Fury
FC. Yeah. I was really happy how that came out. This week, I just have my tidbits. I might do a prospect of the month, but I think I'm pushing that till next week. So look out for that. Yeah, media day coverage tomorrow, Wednesday, weigh-ins Friday, fight day coverage Saturday, and then just look out for my tidbits. They're going to be fun.
There you go. Yep. Sounds good. And of course, you can follow us at DrakeRiggs _ at Alex B. Huden, MMania.com on every platform imaginable. As for me, just kind of got some things in the works. Nothing concrete to be released and ready just yet, but we're brushing up, getting ready still for easing into this year, really easing in. So until then, you guys, stay safe, stay sane, enjoy the return of regularly programmed MMA action this weekend. And we will see you next Tuesday, same time, same channel, same website, all the spots we can be found. Take care, everybody.